Hello and welcome to today's vlog post. I'm narrator Rebecca McKernan, and today we will be continuing with the new series from Martin Schiller. Excuse me. Our Man Adelaide. Yesterday, it's a good job I'm not recording today, isn't it? I'm losing my voice. Yesterday we looked at book 1, The Faceless Man, and today we continue with, understandably, book 2, The Dark Grove. So without further ado, because yesterday I explained the series to you, I will go into the description of book 2 in this series. This is Martin Schiller's Our Man Adelaide, The Dark Grove. Although the council has been unmasked and the faceless man identified, the danger that they pose is far from over. A great wedding is being planned between the innocent Princess Victoria Louise of Prussia and Ernst Augustus, heir to the Kingdom of Hanover. Its guests will include royalty from all over Europe, and it is the perfect opportunity for peace. But this gathering is also threatened with the possibility of chaos and death. It will be up to Sir Thomas Blackthorne, Adelaide de Marcy, her students and their friends to stave off disaster and foil the council's evil designs, if they can. I probably should have said, although it sort of goes without saying, that as this is book 2 in a series, it may include some spoilers from book 1. But presumably, if you're watching this, you might have watched yesterday's vlog as well. Without further ado, I'm going to read to you. So Martin tends to have a nice pattern to his work, Martin Schiller, where he'll generally give a brief introduction in a prologue and then a nice rounding up of the story in an epilogue. So what I read to you generally is just the first couple of pages of each of his prologues, as I am doing today. Why I felt the need to explain that to you, I don't know. Let's just put it down to extreme sleep deprivation. I think that's what I'm going to be going with for as long as I can get away with it. So this is the first few pages of Martin Schiller's Our Man Adelaide, The Dark Grove, the prologue. Prologue. Mendocino County, California, United States, 8 June 1973. Morning found Georgina ensconced in Dame Adelaide's kitchen, eating a light breakfast and organising her notes. So far, her hostess had provided an incredible insight into the early days of the Secret Service Bureau and one of its most sensitive missions, the investigation into the sinking of the RMS Titanic. And she has promised that there is even more to come, Georgina thought, wondering at what the day's revelations would be. Just then, the subject of her ruminations walked in. "Good morning," Adelaide greeted. "Ready to resume our little journey back in time?" Georgina smiled and reached for her pad and pen. "I am at that. I believe that we left off in August of 1912. "Yes, that we did," Adelaide confirmed. "The Emperor had just passed away, and in keeping with Shinto beliefs, my students and I, as well as Colonel Bushida, then observed Kichu, a 40-day period of mourning." "Did that affect your classes?" "No," Adelaide answered, opening her refrigerator to consider its contents. "They went on as usual, but we refrained from anything that might have otherwise been considered auspicious, so there were no celebrations, and we eschewed any entertainments. This came to a conclusion in September, which, as it happens, coincided with Sir Thomas's desire to return to Wales in order to visit his family again and observe the autumnal equinox." "The equinox?" Georgina asked. "Was this a ceremony like the one that his people had held in the spring?" "It was," Adelaide told her. "And it was also an opportunity for all of us to address the deficiencies in our training. But before I go into all of that, let me break my fast and then take you for a drive. I think that we have both had quite enough of being confined indoors." This caught Georgina completely off guard. "A drive? I thought you told me that you did not know how to operate a motor car." "Not in 1912, no," Adelaide explained, "but much to the dismay of Mr. Bertrand, in 1915 Sir Thomas was kind enough, and I dare say patient enough, to instruct me, and thanks to him I have been a driver ever since." "And do you still drive?" "Oh, yes," Adelaide smiled, "although I am not nearly as daring as I used to be, and by and large I prefer to have everything delivered. Still, I do manage to get out now and again." Sorry, I've lost my place. "And today seems just such an occasion. So finish up, and we shall go on an excursion together." Only 15 minutes later, Adelaide had seen to her breakfast and dressed herself. Then she escorted her guest out to the garage. What Georgina beheld there was just as surprising as the offer of an outing had been. "Is that what I think it is?" she asked. "It is," Adelaide stated proudly. "An Aston Martin DB5, and in perfect condition. I have a man come up from the town once a month who sees to its maintenance." "Dame, I must admit that I was expecting something rather more," Georgina began. "Conservative," Adelaide guessed. "I am afraid not. After seeing it in Goldfinger, I simply had to have one for myself. Not that I care for Mr. Fleming's character, mind you. Mr. Bond is a terrible spy, and he has a loathsome habit of beating his women whenever they happen to displease him. Myself, had he been real, and done such a thing to me, I would have gladly relieved him of several of his fingers. Yet even so, I cannot dispute his good taste in automobiles." "Yes," Georgina agreed, clearly unnerved by the idea of forcefully removing someone's digits. "It is an incredible machine." "That it is," Adelaide said. "Now let us be off. I think that a nice trip north to Westport would do, so in you get, and make sure to buckle up." When she had seated herself, Georgina was amazed to find that the interior looked exactly like the car in the movies. Does it have the same secret accessories? She wondered. In their short time together, she had learned that anything was possible when it came to Dame Adelaide. "I know what you are thinking," her hostess said, as she took her place behind the wheel. Then she flicked a hidden covering on the gear shift and exposed a bright red button. "But sadly, this car does not have a working ejector seat. I just had the button put in to complete the aesthetic. However, the oil slick and a few of the other special features are real enough." That said, she started the engine, and it responded with a thrum that was every bit as powerful as its cinematic counterpart. And once on the highway, it proved to be a nimble machine, although Dame Adelaide tended to drive a bit more aggressively than Georgina preferred. And only 30 minutes later, they reached the tiny hamlet of Westport and Pete's Beach. "Lovely, isn't it?" Adelaide asked as they parked. It was indeed a breathtaking scene. The blue waters of the vast Pacific lay before them, its waves breaking against the shore in a rhythm that was ancient beyond all human reckoning. "And somewhere out there, beyond the curvature of the earth itself, is her beloved Japan," Georgina reflected, allowing herself a moment to simply take in the view and marvel at its immensity. "So," Adelaide said at last, "it is time for me to share my next adventure with you and the young ladies at Fort Monkton. Best that we begin with our return to the Blackthorn estate, I think. Then we should discuss a royal wedding that the press would come to call an affair of the first magnitude. No less than all of the crowned heads of Europe would be in attendance, and naturally there was a dastardly conspiracy to murder them all in cold blood. Would that perhaps pique your interest, my dear?" Oh, I could have finished the chapter. There's only one paragraph left. Hastily the young woman took up her pad. "Yes, dame," she replied, "that would certainly suffice." Sorry, I got a bit carried away there. So that was the entire prologue of Martin Schiller's Our Man Adelaide Book 2, The Dark Grove, which you can find in its entirety on Audible, Amazon and iTunes. And you can see more from me in those same places. And also at RebeccaMcKernan.com, although I must be honest, I'm not very good at updating my website. I'm an artist, not an IT person. And on Twitter at Becca Tells Tales. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Mwah.